Good day everyone. So I finally upgraded my Ayaka talent levels. She's now currently at 9, 11 and 13. We got some lucky on the boss drops, and upgrading her talent levels makes an enormous difference, as you'll see in this abyss. So today we're doing again another solo Ayaka run, but with a bit of commentary. Starting off, the enemies are spread out, so what you want to do is you want to draw them in using the pattern that you can see here on screen. Your burst doesn't hit them, but they actually run into your burst, which is really nice. And then we'll finish them off with a almost 75k charge attack, which is nice. And then we've got these two. The techniques is again the same. You just want to group them up, and once they're grouped up, you need to take care of that electro buff, otherwise you're not going to do a lot of damage. The way in which to do it is to hit them as you get out of your dash, and to try and keep them grouped up as much as possible. I actually made a mistake here. I could have done more damage with my elemental burst by keeping them grouped up, but I will. What's important on this floor is you want to keep the guys grouped up, and you want to chip away at their health, especially now since they're low. You want to work on them one at a time, because if you kill the one and the other one still lives, then you might trigger sort of like an overheal on the one, and then it'll just take more time to kill them. So here both of these guys have an electro buff, and we just need to take care of that again. It should go down. Yep, there we go. And we can finish him off with some pretty decent time left on the clock, about 19 seconds, which is quite nice. This is team 2. This is just I don't usually run this team. This is just for having a bit of fun, so don't take too much of the gameplay into account. These two guys in the beginning are quite annoying, so you want to try and either finish them off quickly or try and group them up. And now we get to the most annoying part of this abyss. It's these teleporting, I think, what do you call them, cryosin. Not exactly sure of the name, but I haven't figured out the pattern to how they teleport. Even in all my different abyss runs, Ayaka solo and with this team, I still haven't figured it out, but whatever. You can see a team 2 is just absolutely obliterating them, which is quite nice. And then of course Ganyu is doing Ganyu things, hitting about 47k charge attack, which is just insane. And this is a C0 Ganyu. She's not even built like to max level, but I've got all her talents at max, which is quite nice. And this should be the end. Cool. Now we're going to go on to the next floor. Very important in this next floor is it's very simple floor, and I think we're going to do a no damage run on this floor. Take no damage at all, and the way we do it is through iframing. So to start off with, we want to group up these guys, charge attack, animation cancel out, then use your burst, and you will see your burst actually knocks them closer together, and you can finish them off. One of the things you can do is you can, with Ayaka C1, you can reduce the cooldown on your E, even if you attack a shield. I've got a recent video on YouTube explaining that in absolute detail, so do check it out, I'll link it below. And here we just knock the mage into our burst. So a big criticism often of Ayaka is that her elemental burst is very wonky, because enemies can just walk out of it, but you can also knock enemies into it, and enemies can also walk into it. So it's not that even if you miss like the initial burst or whatever, it's not that it's completely useless. It's all about positioning, right? And here we're just finishing off this guy. Nothing big or anything like that. Generally what I found with Ayaka is, particularly at C6, she becomes quite a lot of fun to play, and her charge attack, which a lot of people have said is lackluster, is actually not. The amount of damage or supplemental damage you can do every 10 seconds is just amazing, and her C1 just allows you to have that elemental burst up 20% of the time, which is just great. Right, in the background here you can see we're doing a bit of a cleanup. We got that pun, cleanup. And we're just waiting for Magu Kinky to go into his invulnerability phase. He's actually one of my favorite ones to fight with Ayaka, because of the fact that there's so much technique in fighting him. Essentially you can avoid like these little swirls and bursts by just doing a proper iframe. And yeah, if you just look there on screen, our Eula for some reason hit like 200k, which is weird because my Eula is at C6, so she should be hitting at least 600k, but I think I don't know if it's enemy resistance, I don't know. If you know what's going on, just tell me in the comment sections before Klee dies. And yeah, So getting back to Ayaka, yeah, she is incredibly fun. I think a lot of people think her C2 is good. I think it is. It's a great constellation. Her C4 is a bit overrated due to how damage calculations work. It translates, if the enemy level is like 100 and yours is like 90, it translates to about an 18% effective damage increase, even though you're reducing the defense of the enemy by 30%. Just because you're reducing it doesn't mean the way in which it's calculated will result in extra 30% damage. But nonetheless, let's go on to floor 3. So here with Ayaka, what we want to try and do is just group ourselves up and just wait for it and unleash our burst. In a couple of the practice runs that I did, it's possible to hit your entire burst and one-shot this guy. In this run it didn't really work out, but that's okay. And now we get to these very annoying guys because these three have, you can see, a very large AoE area of attack. Luckily I framed it, but it's not always possible. And sometimes because you've got three enemies attacking you independently, you can't always avoid not taking damage like there. I think it's a bit of carelessness on my side. We could have probably done a damageless run, but yeah, it just happens. And now we're just going to build up our elemental burst and finish this off in a pretty good time, I think. There you can see we just I-framed another one of these attacks, and this should be game over right now. Yep, and he's just taking damage and respectful time. Again, another 30 seconds on the clock, which is awesome. And then team 2 here is going to lead us to victory. One of the things is I don't understand why they made floor 3 like it is. It's incredibly easy compared to floor 1s and 2. I think also the DPS gap is quite large. These guys get no buffs. Essentially you just need to put in elemental reactions and then take them down or clean them up. As you can see there in the background, we've got Klee and a bit of like a reverse melt doing 16k or with the Ganyu ult. And then this Ruin Guard is pretty much taken care of, pretty easy. The one thing I don't understand is when we get to the next three guys, these three guys, is you'll see in the background there, two of them are attacking the floor. I don't know what they're doing. It's like only this one over here that does anything. But if you're having trouble with this floor, just stand next to one guy and they'll eventually, all of them will teleport right next to you. And then if you've got a Zhongli, you can just petrify them and then take them out with either a combination of elements, or if you've got a Eula, just Eula them and kill them all. Unfortunately, Eula's damage calculation triggers each of the burst, triggers their crit rates independently, which is quite interesting. So this is why these guys have a bit of resistance, and I think they've also got like that physical inherent resistance. So yeah, at the end of the day, there is a healthy 38 seconds on the clock, and we cleared this much better than last time.